We are live.
All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of College Pride Press Game Day. As always, I'm your host, Noah Holly, joined alongside by my co-host, Sean Bach. No guests tonight, just going to be the two of us. This is going to be a pretty quick episode because we're both pretty tired, and we know you guys definitely want to get to the Baylor Kansas game, catch the end of that if we have any live viewers here. So tonight we're going to be discussing the top games for the week ahead, loaded slate, and the team we are most worried about. Definitely don't want to miss it. So we'll go ahead and get right into it in just a minute. We'll do some proper introductions here. As always, I'm your host, Noah Holly. I'm a 14-year-old intern for College Pride Press. .com. I cover bracketology for the site, doing weekly updates right now, so definitely want to check that out. All right, let's get to you, Sean.
All right, what's up, guys? I'm Sean. As you know, I'm the chief analyst for the College Pride Press Game Day podcast, and I do a weekly mid-major report and also a Saturday notebook for the site and cover a little bit about Brazo and Indiana and do a couple columns as well, kind of all over. But yeah, I mean, I love college basketball. This is a great weekend ahead. We've had a nice couple weeks lately, so hopefully this one's no different. I'm excited to get into it.
I'm sure it won't be. Remember to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. Really helps us out. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at CPP Gameday. You can also follow the main site on Twitter at EDU Pride Press, I should say. All right, let's get into the show here. So we're gonna start off talking about we each have a pick for a top team that we are most worried about right now. In conference play, obviously teams can experience a lot of ups and downs, but some of the downs we've seen right now for teams have got us a little bit concerned about their prospects heading into March. So we'll get to you, Sean. What is the top team that you are most concerned about right now, based off their recent play?
Well, the Butler Bulldogs, they've lost the past two games at home, and that's at home at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which doesn't happen all that often. And it's been to a Georgetown team who we've seen struggled greatly this year, and then Creighton team who just lost their best player and who was coming off a couple games that they shouldn't have lost. And really, this team just looks completely out of sorts, both ends of the ball. I heard from a couple of Butler sources that Keelan Martin, the team's leader and best player, has been getting into some locker room fights or yelling matches with Coach Chris Holtman, which is definitely not a good sign as the season goes on. But really, this team is just – they're concerning me. We've seen it in the Marquette game when they were down by, I think, 20 at one point, and they somehow fought back. And then even in the DePaul game, they were down by a couple of maybe 10 or 12 points, and they fought their way back. But I really don't know with this Butler team. They seemed to impress me at the beginning of the year, got a couple nice wins. Even in Big East play, they got a couple solid wins. But really, the past two games have not impressed me. I mean, maybe it's just a little bit of a phase as we've seen all teams go through, but hopefully they can get back on track. They go to Marquette next Tuesday, which should be an interesting matchup as we've seen Marquette struggle a little bit after getting two big wins. But yeah, I mean, this Butler team is definitely concerning right now as I consider them one of the best teams in the Big East, but they haven't really looked like it lately.
No, they have not. All right, so my pick for the team I am most concerned about, the top team I'm most concerned about, is the UCLA Bruins. So we all know the story of the UCLA Bruins. They are one of the best offensive teams in college basketball in recent memory. But obviously, defense for them has been a very big weakness this season. But, as I talked about in a column I wrote about a week ago about UCLA, they haven't really needed their defense this season, because when you're putting up 100 points a game, it doesn't really require top-notch defensive effort. But you know, recently UCLA, their defense has really started to catch up to them, their defensive struggles. And, it's resulted in UCLA coming off of 2 losses and their Pac-12 regular season title hopes in jeopardy. You know, when UCLA is forced to rely on their defense, you know, it has not been encouraging at all. It is very concerning, and it makes you wonder, you know, watching UCLA play against really good teams and having their defense let them down, if this team is really the Final Four, shoe-in that we all consider them to be. You know, UCLA is one of the best teams in the country. With an offense that good, it's not. They're going to be a extremely tough team to beat, no matter who you are. But I just, we all thought that UCLA was. We never really expected UCLA's defense to be their downfall, and right now that has been the case. So if I'm a UCLA fan, watching non-conference play, I'm thinking that my team has a really good shot at a championship. I'm very concerned at the lack of defensive production we're seeing right now, and it the defense very much is going to be an issue for this team when March rolls around. Heck, it's an issue right now. They have to play better on the defensive end. There's just no excuses. All right, so now we're going to get into the game previews. So we're going to start off with my Virginia Cavaliers traveling to Syracuse this weekend, and we all know what this game means. It means revenge on the minds of Virginia fans. We all know Syracuse was the team that defeated Virginia in last season's NCAA tournament. It was an absolute crushing loss, for Virginia, as horrible of a way to end your season as possible. So they're going to be traveling to Syracuse, and it's not a very good time to be traveling to Syracuse right now. Syracuse is playing some of their best basketball in the season. So we'll get to you, Sean. What are your thoughts and predictions on this game?
Yeah, you hit it right on the nose. Syracuse, the Carrier Dome, it's always been a tough place to play. Florida State went down there last week, and we knew how great Florida State has been playing, especially during the ACC. But this Virginia team, they really showed me something in the Villanova game, although they lost. I personally really like this Virginia team. I think they got a good group of guys. No, I know you like that I'm saying this, but I don't know. London Parentis is a great player to me, and so is Ty Jerome, the freshman who came off the bench and played big against Villanova. And I think this Virginia team, if they're really the team, I think if they're the team in the ACC to really go to the Carrier Dome and get a nice win, I think it's them. I don't know. They got Tony Bennett as their coach. He's definitely one of the best, if not the best, in the ACC, behind Coach K maybe. But really, I don't know. This Virginia team, I feel good about them going to the Carrier Dome and knocking off the Orange in this one. I feel like their defense is just going to give Syracuse problems, and especially Andrew White, who we've seen is a great player for Syracuse, but he's more of a catch and shoot instead of a off the dribble kind of player. But I think he's going to have issues with this Virginia defense, and I really think the defense wins championships, and this game's gonna be no different. I'll take the Cavs by maybe 5 or 6 points.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Syracuse's backcourt play recently has been phenomenal. Tonight we saw in Syracuse's a 7-point overtime victory over NC State. Point guard John Gillen had 42 points. They can really hurt you. I like what you said. Especially off the catch and shoot. Which is one of the things that Virginia can have trouble defending at times if there is really anything. But Virginia's I would forget about the final score in the Villanova game. It was a really tough loss, but we learned a lot about Virginia, and they proved that they can hang with top competition. This is a very, very balanced team. You know, a lot of people don't love this UVA team as opposed to recent years, but I think that this is, this has a chance to be one of Tony Bennett's better teams in a while. So obviously it's going to be tough to go on the road win at Syracuse. But like you said, if there's any team that's going to be able to do that, it's going to be Virginia. I think that they cool off Syracuse. I think it'll be close, but I think that Virginia's defense will end up, just leading them to a victory where they can pull away late. All right, so the next game we're going to be talking about it's also going to be noon Saturday. Purdue traveling to Maryland. Boy, has Maryland been impressive lately. They are undefeated on the road in the Big Ten. They are just pulling off tough win after tough win. This would be one of their toughest tough wins. Purdue could very well be the best team Maryland has faced thus far this season. They have not faced very good competition so far. That explains why they are ranked 17th in the country, despite being 20-2. So look to you, Sean. What are your thoughts and predictions on this Big Ten battle?
Well, obviously Purdue's been one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the Big Ten this year with Wisconsin and Maryland, but really Caleb Swanigan's been the whole story for them. He's a great player. Definitely one of the most, I don't even know if I'd say most improved, but one of the more surprising players, I think. I mean, he's a highly rated guy coming out of high school.
With all the really, freshmen coming in, I feel like we kind of forgot about him a little bit, but he's definitely.
Yeah, but he actually should be a freshman. He graduated early from high school.
That is true.
That's equally more impressive in just how dominant he's be, and he's going to be a really big test for these for Maryland. As we know, they have Bender and Dodd and Galen Nickens coming off the bench. That's a pretty big front line coming off the bench, and so is Tchaikovsky, I think his name is, who's 7'1", and Swanigan's really gonna be a challenge for those guys, and I think really just keeping up with him is gonna be a struggle for Maryland. But I think I like this Maryland team a lot. Melo Trimble, he hasn't had the best year, but I mean he's a leader and he does things that not always are going to affect the score, but really just lead this team, as we've seen with the freshmen, how much they've grown and how well they play together. It's impressive. They start 4 freshmen, and Justin Jackson's really been the big story for them the past couple games. I know he was big in the Minnesota game, and even the one that they won the other day. I think it was Ohio State. He played really well. And really, if he can get going, Maryland's kind of lacked that primary defender, the guy they kind of depend to put the ball in the basket at a consistent basis, especially with Melo's struggles. But I think Jackson's really becoming more comfortable and really stepping into that role. And I think that's going to be huge for Maryland down the stretch and as the season goes on. So really, I think, I don't know, I want to take Purdue, but I feel like Maryland at home is going to be tough. I think, I don't know what the status is on Haas. For some reason I thought he wasn't playing last game, but it looks like he was. That's my bad. But I don't. I'm gonna have to go with Maryland in this one. I think they just got too much. They're rolling. They're playing really well. I'm not a big fan of either team, but personally, I'd have to go with the Terrapins on this one.
Yeah, it just watching Maryland recently, I feel like a lot of people are betting against them right now. And they have just continued to prove people wrong. You're right. At home, it's going to be a really big challenge for Purdue. You know, if Haas, the status of Haas is going to be a very big key in this game. He needs to be healthy because if he's healthy, then it gives Purdue a very big advantage in the front court. Obviously with Swanigan, and you know if Swanigan and Haas are playing to their potential, then that is a advantage in the front court that could end up deciding this game. But I mean, it's just I don't really want to be that guy who bets against Maryland again. I have not been that high on the Terps so far this season. They have continued to prove me wrong. Like you said, Sean, I definitely agree with you. I want to take Purdue, but I just feel like Maryland's on a bit of a roll right now. They're learning a lot about themselves. They're becoming a very tough team. This is an opportunity that I feel that they know they need to step up. First time playing against a really good team, and I think that they're going to do it. All right, so we're going to move on to arguably the biggest game of this weekend. That is Arizona traveling to Oregon. Both these teams are playing very well right now. Forget about Oregon's loss to Colorado. They never play well in Boulder. That streak was going to win. That win streak was going to end at some point. The Pac-12 champion could very well hail from this game. This is a huge game in the Pac-12. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll get to you, Sean. What are your thoughts on this game?
Well, I'm a big fan of both of these teams personally. I think the Arizona starting lineup is arguably one of the best in college basketball talent-wise and NBA draft stock-wise. You have Alkins in the backcourt, Allen, and Simmons, who's been one of the best freshmen that really no one has been talking about too much. And then you have Markkanen and Ristich in the front court, who have been two of the most, I have to say it again, underrated front court duos in the country. And Oregon's got a good group. They got, obviously Dylan Brooks has been good, but he's kind of the status really. He's kind of struggled a little bit since he's been having problems with his foot, and I think there was another injury too, I believe, but doesn't come to mind right now. But yeah, like you said, I would, if I were college basketball fans or picking this game, I would really ignore that Colorado loss. Colorado is not an easy team, although they struggle a little bit this year. But Boulder is not an easy place to play. That's for sure. But I don't know, like the Maryland Purdue game, I'm having a tough time picking against. I'm gonna have a tough time picking against Arizona actually in this one. I think just there's too much firepower overall. Oregon's definitely a tough place to play, like we saw it earlier in the year when UCLA came to town and got their first loss. But I think this Arizona team is just clicking on all cylinders right now. And really, this game, I think this is Maryland's game for everyone really to show how dominant really they addition of or with the return of Alonzo Trier in the lineup. I really like the Wildcats, and I think they'll get the win this one by a couple points, 4 or 5.
Yeah, I feel like the key to this game for Oregon is they need to get the ball inside. They were not doing that enough in the Colorado game. They shot way too many threes, in my opinion. Arizona's interior defense isn't that great. Markkanen is still a work in progress defensively. So, I feel like Oregon, they first of all, they need Bell and Boucher to stay out of foul trouble, and that was not the case. In that Colorado game, if they can stay out of foul trouble and their guards can get them the ball, and they can, I feel like that's going to be the key to the game. But you're right. Arizona is clicking on all cylinders right now. They are playing as good of basketball as anyone in the country. They look like a team that could be a number 1 seed by the time it is all said and done. This game is really, really tough to pick. It's going to be a really tough one for Arizona on the road. But I'm really like Maryland. I'm really having trouble picking against Arizona right now. They're just playing too well. They're way too confident. They got all their guys back. They're starting to they are beginning to play as a complete team. So this is another big test that I think that the Cats are going to be ready to take. I think Arizona pulls it off. It's going to be a close one, though. It's going to be a very good one. So we're going to move on to Notre Dame traveling to UNC. That is the next one we're going to be previewing. It's going to be Saturday, 6:15 p.m. on ESPN. Sean, we'll get to you. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Notre Dame has struggled recently, losing their last three to Virginia at home, which wasn't a pretty game, Georgia Tech on the road, and then the Duke game where Duke arguably played their best game of the season. But yeah, I mean, Notre Dame has really not. I was buying stock into them, uh, especially after their first stretch before the Florida State um, loss in January. But lately, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with this Notre Dame team. Um, they just haven't seemed to have the level of play that they carried on before to really be playing at a high level. And same thing for this North Carolina team. They barely beat a Pitt team at home who got blown out by almost 50 points against Louisville earlier in the week or last week or something like that. But I don't know. Both teams are just struggling right now, trying to find a rhythm. Um, and really, this is a big game for both teams, not just conference wise, standings wise, but also just um, basically just confidence and playing well together, which they've struggled recently. But I really like the front court of North Carolina, Kennedy, Meeks, and Hicks. I think those guys are going to give Notre Dame troubles, but really, I don't know. I don't want to count out the Irish in this one, but I just think North Carolina, this is an odd matchup overall. Justin Jackson has been an absolute beast this year, scoring the ball like crazy. And really, I think if he does that and North Carolina keeps hitting their shots and finding a good consistency on the offensive end, I think they'll be all right in this one. It helps they're playing at the Dean Smith Center, so I think Roy Williams is going to have his team fired up. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of concerned about this Notre Dame team as well. I don't really know. I mean, Mike Bray's a great coach, but I kind of struggle with this team a little bit, especially now. But who knows? Hopefully they can turn around. But in this one, I think I'm going to take the Tar Heels.
Yeah. This is a very bad time for Notre Dame to, travel to UNC. It's just Notre Dame isn't necessarily playing poorly in their past three games. They're spreading the ball pretty well. It's just I feel like they're just in a little bit of a down stretch. I'm not that concerned about them. I'm still very high on this team and their experience and veteran play. They have a lot of true leaders on this team. To be honest, I'm kind of confused by Notre Dame's losing streak. Watching this team, I really didn't predict that. That something like this will happen. But anyway, like you said, North Carolina isn't playing their best basketball right now either. But I'm just gonna have to go with them in this one because, first of all, I feel as if Notre Dame is much less confident than UNC is right now, and Notre Dame is kind of grasping for straws here, and grasping for straws is not what you want to do at the Dean Dome. So I'm going to take North Carolina in this one. Should be close, but I think that they will pull it out. UNC has been very good in close games this year. So we're going to move on to our next game we're going to be previewing, which is Kentucky traveling to Florida. That's Saturday, 8:15 p.m. Immediately following the Notre Dame UNC game on ESPN. We'll get to you, Sean. What are your thoughts on this game?
I could be wrong in this one, but I think this is Kentucky's biggest chance of losing another game in SEC play.
No, you're right. I agree.
Yeah, and for the rest of the year, they've been a good team. I think their numbers are kind of deceiving. They say on Ken Palm they're the 20th ranked offense, but I don't really see it with this team on the consistency on the offensive end to really keep up with Kentucky. I mean, Georgia did that last night, but they somehow, some way kept it close, but Kentucky ended up pulling it out in the end. Malik Monk's been absolutely crazy. I think he's really gonna have a big game for Kentucky in order to win this one. But really, I think it's the problem with Kentucky though is if Monk's gonna score, then who else is gonna step up and contribute? De'Aaron Fox he's been good, but I don't know. I don't he didn't play last night, so that kind of worries me a little bit. And Bam, he's not really a scorer. He's more of just a presence inside who can grab rebounds and put in occasional putbacks. And really, it's just who's going to step up besides Monk when they need someone to score the ball. And really, on the road at Florida, hostile environment, they're going to bring their best. It could very well be that Monk does not play well, and who else is going to step up and really play that role as a scorer and a shooter. But as for Florida, Canyonberry, as we know, shoots free throws underhand, but he makes them, so that's all that matters. But they got a good group. I think on defensively, I think they can really give Kentucky some issues. But the question is going to be offensively: are they going to come ready? Or are they going to be a little bit too excited that they're playing Kentucky and kind of play the way they usually don't? But I don't know. This one's also pretty tough. I want to pick against Kentucky, but I don't know if Florida's got the. I don't know if I can buy into them in this one, but I think I'm going to take Kentucky. I mean, I said earlier that Monk hasn't really. Who else is going to step up besides Monk? But I think Monk, he'll carry this team again.
Yeah.
I also think Bam's going to have a great game, really give that Florida front court some issues. So I'm going to take Kentucky in a close one.
All right. Yeah. Similar to Notre Dame traveling to Chapel Hill, this is not the best time for Kentucky to be, traveling to Florida. In the past 3 games, Kentucky they really haven't looked like themselves. The loss to Tennessee, I mean, I expected that they would have a game like that. I mean, there's no way they were going to completely roll through SEC play. And then a very disappointing loss to Kansas. That was a game that, watching the first half, you definitely feel like they should have won. Kansas's experience and maturity really showed through in the second half there. And then, needing, like you said, Monk to save them again against Georgia without De'Aaron Fox, at home. Overtime win, it just definitely not what we are really expecting to see from Kentucky. Now, I still think that Kentucky is one of the best teams in the country, but right now they really need a game to get their confidence back up. And this Florida game has a chance of being that, but also has a chance of getting getting people really concerned about Kentucky. I don't really love this Florida team. I don't really consider them a top 25 team. I'm not going to deny that this is going to be a tough game for Kentucky and that Florida is one of the better teams in the SEC. But to me, no matter how they're playing, Kentucky is, just so incredibly talented. If they can get a Fox back and they can just, continue to create opportunities for Monk, I believe that he will continue to cash in on them. And I think that Kentucky, will, if they can stay focused, that they're going to win this game, All right, so we're going to move on to the final game we're going to be previewing real quick here. And this is the game that you guys selected in our Twitter poll. We do that once a week. We have you guys vote on the last game that we previewed for the show, and you guys picked Indiana at Wisconsin. So we'll get to you, Sean. We all know you're a big Indiana fan. Do you think that your Hoosiers are going to be able to pull it out against Wisconsin on Sunday?
I'd like to think so, but I don't think they will. After this game tonight, where they went to triple overtime against Penn State at home at Assembly Hall, really my confidence in this team is not very high at the moment. Personally, I think we should have lost the game. Josh Newkirk somehow, some way made a layup with zero point 0.1 seconds left to force double overtime. I think it was, or triple. I don't even remember, but I know we got the win. We somehow covered the spread tonight, by 8 in triple overtime. But I mean, a win's a win. I'll take it. But against a team like Penn State, and then you play Wisconsin on Sunday with as little depth as you have, against Wisconsin, who's definitely been one of the best teams, if not the best, in the Big Ten this year. Ethan Happ has been an absolute stud. I see him totally. I do not feel comfortable with him going up against Thomas Bryant. I think Happ is just going to give Bryant absolute fits. We saw last year in the game. I don't know how many he scored exactly, but I just know that Bryant really had a tough time keeping up with Happ and really just keeping him in front and not letting him get those little pump fakes to the basket. So, and especially at the Kohl Center as well. I know a constant theme with me is talking about who's playing at home, but really it makes a difference in conference games or in college basketball in general. But I don't know. I don't see Indiana. I don't know if they'll. I hope they can keep it close, but I mean they didn't keep it close against Northwestern and got blown out by Michigan on the road, and I can only imagine if that level of play keeps up with what'll happen at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's not known for blowing out teams, but Indiana's not known for keeping some road games close, as we've seen this year. But really, I don't know. I do not like I said, I do not like the Hoosiers' depth, especially with not their three best players, but their three most important players being out, OG, Blackman, and Hartman. I really have those are kind of three guys that we're really looked up to as not only leaders, but just guys who could put the ball in the basket and really make a big play when needed. So with all that, I think I'm going to go with Wisconsin in this one by 9 or 10 points. I think Indiana fights and claws and scratches, but I don't know. I don't think they'll come out with the W in this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Wisconsin has not been shooting very well recently, but their defense just remains so spectacular. And this is not a good game matchup-wise for Indiana. I still feel that Indiana is a NCAA tournament team. Right now I have them as an 11 seed. I know they're not playing very well right now, but I still believe in this team talent wise. I'm not ready to give up on them just yet, but personally, I don't think that they are capable of beating, a team like Wisconsin right now. With a team as, devoid of confidence as Indiana is, it's not a very refreshing sight to meet a team with Wisconsin's defensive ability that can just frustrate the crap out of them. So I'm gonna take Wisconsin here. I guess I could see Indiana keeping this one close, maybe pulling off an upset. I mean, if Wisconsin shoots like they have recently, especially like they did against Rutgers, that was absolutely unbelievable. It's been a long time since I've seen a team shoot that bad, but I'm going to take Wisconsin in this one. I just feel they are too much right now for Indiana. So that's pretty much going to do it for tonight's episode. Thank you for listening. We'll be back on our normal schedule next week, I imagine. But But yeah, so like I said earlier in the show, be sure to subscribe to us. Really helps us out. Also follow us on Twitter. We're almost at 100 followers. Go over that. It's CPP Game Day and help us reach that goal. But yeah, so thank you for listening. Uh, we'll see you next week. Bye.